Join us for our 4th edition and first virtual Ghana Property and Lifestyle Expo 2020. Register for free to meet a selection of Ghana's leading real estate developers and industry experts, plus special offers. Taking place for 1 day only on Saturday the 14th of November 2020 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be live presentations, Q&A and an opening speech from our keynote speaker, Mr. Papa Kwal Bartels, Minister Councillor and Head of Trade and Investment Section from the Ghana High Commission UK. Register online at Hopin and be entered into our free prize draw. Dream it, live it, you don't want to miss out. Lead sponsor, Gold Key Properties. Silver sponsor, Stanbic Bank Ghana.
Hello, we are back live. I hope we have sorted out the little technical hitch there with the sound from Vanessa. As I said, thank you so much, Vanessa, for that important and such a valuable information, which I'm sure everyone who is tuned in now has taken a lot of information, which they will put to good use. We have a flood of questions coming through. I'll start with the first one. It says, I have a will in place in the UK. Do I need another will for any investment or assets in Ghana?
Hi, Anna, can you hear me?
Yes, I think I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of that question, what I would say is that we always advise it's good to have a will in the country where you own assets. So if you have a will here for the assets in the United Kingdom, that's excellent. And we would always recommend that you have a will in Ghana, because your assets in Ghana will go according to Ghanaian law, particularly property. So investments, for example, you could include that under a UK law, under a UK will, but your physical property, land and house, we would recommend you have a Ghanaian will so that it passes according to Ghanaian law.
Brilliant. I think, thank you so much. And thank you, Daniel, for that very important question. So, yes, there you go. There needs to be a will in place. We just got another question in. Someone saying, is everything written in a will is final after a person's death? I'm trying to understand this question. If a person declines, so I think once the will's been written, I think if someone wants to try and contest the will after someone has died, is that possible?
Yes, it is. And contesting wills has been on the increase, actually, particularly in the last 5 years. So really, there's a number of things that can happen. You can make a will and the person that you've nominated to be the executor when the time comes may choose not to do that. They can revoke that role if they choose to, and then it would either fall to a reserve executive if you have one. If not, it would fall to the closest family member. But again, we would recommend that you speak to the person you want to nominate to do that role, because you're asking them to do quite a trusted role for you at a time when obviously you're not going to be here to do it. In terms of the beneficiaries, yes, it's quite common that a beneficiary can come back and say either that I was not included in the will, or I don't like the amount I've been left in the will. There are lots of reasons why people contest wills. And obviously at that point, it would be the role of the executor to try and resolve those issues as best as they can. But again, certainly from the UK perspective, and certainly with my personal clients, I like them to write a letter, a note to the executors to explain why they've done what they've done. Because obviously the document's not going to be seen, it's not going to be read until you've died. And that letter then will help the executors to understand what you've done, why you did it. And if necessary, if it goes to court, it will be read out in court. And then it will be for the judge to decide, well, actually, we concur with what's been written, or actually we don't think it was reasonable, and therefore we would look to make some adjustment. But yeah, wills are oftentimes contested. So making a will doesn't mean it won't be contested. Making a will speaks for you. It says this is what you wanted. The question is, are people going to respect that or not? That's the question.
Brilliant. No, thank you very much, Vanessa. Someone just asked, can a will outline ownership of a business or to stay with their descendants forever?
Yes, you can. If you've got a business, you should absolutely make a will. So with In terms of business, you can actually use different forms of trust, for example, to ensure that the income coming out of the business actually passes to what we call non-exempt beneficiaries. So let me just explain that. If you're married, then you can pass assets from each other as much as you want, any values. Your non-exempt beneficiaries would include your children, your grandchildren. You're capped at how much you can give them. And that cap is £325,000. Anything over that will be taxable. So you really do want to try, if you've got a business, to try and use trust to ensure that the income is going to the people that you want it to. And then eventually the capital will terminate with the final people that you want to own it. If you own a business as well, you need to be talking to your accountant, because certain businesses will attract, currently under UK law, 100% business property relief. What is not treated as a business, though, is investment properties. That's regarded under UK law as pure investment, so it does not attract any kind of business property relief whatsoever, unless you have purchased a building and you're running a business from it. So, for example, a nursery, or you're running a garage or something like that. But if it's just purely rental, it's treated, even though it might be in a company, it's actually treated and regarded as being part of your personal estate. So again, you need to be planning, you need to have some kind of a strategy in terms of property that you've purchased, and again, I say this to my clients: you've got your property portfolio. Which properties would you want the family to keep? Give indication. Which ones should be sacrificed to pay the bill? Give the indication, so that the family's maintaining that which you'd wanted them to have in the first place. So really important that you do the planning. And again, it's just not, there are loads of people that do the work that I do. They are willing to sit down and talk it through with you. So, but you need to have the conversation.
No, thank you so much. That's very important for the investors listening, that, generally, if it's not a commercial property, it's treated as personal, even if you're running it as a business. We're getting a lot of questions for you, so we'll try and fit in what we can in the next few minutes. What happens if the appointed executor dies before your estate is distributed?
That's a very good question. Excellent question. Absolutely excellent. Okay, so in my business, we recommend that you have a reserve executor, always. And then the final result, we always suggest that you put in a professional executor. So the professional executor then, the role is invested in one individual, is vested in the company, and they would only act. Everybody else is nominated and decide. That's the way around that.
Brilliant. That's really good. And we've got another question that's come in. What happens if we don't have anyone to name as an appropriate trustee or an executor? Can this all be professionally managed instead?
Yes, it can. It can do. And in fact, I'll just say here and now that now when I'm advising clients, I suggest they have a professional executor and trustee along with a family member or a friend. And the reason for that is because we're living in a much more complicated world today, I'm afraid, folks. So that means that some of the tax computations that require to complete the inheritance tax form, Inheritance Tax 400, something like 50 odd pages long, that can take quite a lot of work to do. And if you're not really skilled in that area, you can get yourself tied up in a lot of knots. So actually, I would always recommend, and I do now to my clients, that you have a professional executor alongside a family member, so that they work together to make sure that things are done for you. And as I said in my presentation, you can appoint a professional person as an executor, and you could appoint family members to act as trustees to look after any money that you may be leaving for children or elderly relatives or anything like that.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. I mean, Vanessa, that's very, very useful. As I said, there's a lot of key things that I think we're all going to be going away and thinking about. And obviously, especially for individuals, whether you have property, you have children. So then that's something that needs to be considered. Even who looks after your children? That's the point. I guess we're living in a world where anything can happen at any time.
Yeah.
And is that something that should be included in the will? Who who should look after your children or what you would like for your children?
You can. I think in the will, you would be looking to nominate who would take on that role for you if you died before your child, your youngest child, reached to the age of 18. Again, a letter would be appropriate to just give some guidance in terms of maybe, if there was a particular secondary school or type of education that you want your child to have, if you were not here to oversight that yourself. Again, it's important that you appoint guardians who know you, because they're taking on quite an important role. And you also want the person that's going to who knows you and be able to tell your children, remind them about who you are and what you were about. And I think that's important. So oftentimes we might appoint a brother or a sister because it's the easiest thing to do, but is it the best thing for your child? That's really what you've got to look at. And that's why I said earlier on that it's got to be somebody you've got relationship with your children. You have to bear in mind that if you've got young children, they're going to live with another person. This other person is probably going to have to move home as well. They may have to buy a bigger house. They may have to change their own situation to take that on board. And that's all the kind of things that when we talk to clients, we get you to think about. So, doing estate planning is not, it requires engagement. You've got to think, you've got to kind of put some plans in place. They're not hard and fast because we say to people, plan for 5 years. If anything happens to you in the next 5 years, what would you want to happen? And that's how you plan. You get to the end of the 5 years. Has anything changed? No, the plan stays in place. If things have changed, update the plan, because you can continue to update your will up to the point of your death, as long as you have got the mental capacity to do so. So this is about active management. So, if you're getting into property, you're buying land, you've got to be actively managing your assets and your estate. This is not a passive thing. You have to be active in it.
Thank you, Vanessa. And I think that is a good way to wrap up your presentation. You have to be active in the planning and preparation. And that's very insightful what you just said, that once a will is done, it can be updated as often as you want it up until your point of death. So Vanessa, once again, I'd like to say thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you for keeping us educated on such an important point. It's Vanessa's second year exhibiting with us at the Ghana Property and Lifestyle Expo. The conversation doesn't end here. You can go to Vanessa Blythe's booth, which is Peace of Mind Services. And Vanessa, you'll be available to take some more questions.
Yes, I will.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne.
Take care.
Thank you.
So,
Bye-bye.
Bye, Vanessa.
Bye-bye.
So that was Vanessa, who's just, as I said, she's still virtually in the building, hasn't left yet. And I can't believe how quickly the day has gone. I mean, we've had fantastic engagement. Thank you for staying on and listening in. We're almost at the end of the expo. Before we go for a short break, I have to thank our lead sponsor, Gold Key Properties. Thank you very much for your sponsorship and keeping this event possible, and also for Stanbic Bank. And we're going to go for a short break, so please do not go far away. The screen will go black for about 5 minutes, and then I will be returning with Victoria, the co-founder, who's been, you haven't seen her face here, but her and Akosio and the rest of the team have been working tirelessly behind the scenes. So I'll probably put on a video for you so you're not looking at a blank screen, and then we'll be back with our closing remarks. See you soon.